Shade the camera. That's actually a good idea. So if I went like, if I somehow, I need something that would do that, though. I don't have any object that does that. Oh, man. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. And unfortunately, I have to stream from 2 different devices, which means I can't just have one feed. And unfortunately, the camera looks way different on LiveMe than it does over on the YouTube, and the lighting is way different depending on which one I'm on. I need to have Lucy hold a blanket over the camera phone, but that's not so bad. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, LiveMe. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means, hold on, someone's tweeting me. All right, it is totally that time again. Totally that time again. Some folks said they were waiting on YouTube. We are live, everybody. We are live. LiveMe made it harder to find me. Really? Huh. All right. Let's see here. Well, I will fight that battle later. You guys have already been sending articles. And we are at the 30 mark over on LiveMe, so the show has officially begun. So I guess I'll just play the theme song, and then I'll explain further. Get your news on with Ron. Just want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Just want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Tweet me an article at Ron Placone. Go through it together. We'll make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. Just want to know what's going on. Get our news on today. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles at Ron Placone, or you post them over on the Reddit subsection, and we go through them together, and that's how we make this show. That is how we make this show happen, you guys. YouTube never sends me notifications about your live stream, Jost. That's, you know what? More and more people have that problem with a bunch of YouTube channels, not just mine. And it really sucks. It really, really, really sucks. Really liking the new haircut. Thank you very much, Sake. I appreciate that. Chromatic Tree, thank you for the likes. Dem Socialist, good to see you. Happy Friday, everybody. And welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. Oh, somebody. Sorry I'm late. I was watching Game of Thrones. You know what? I have something. I'm going to be publishing something over on the Patreon about Game of Thrones really soon, actually. There we go. That kind of helps a little bit, huh? Doesn't it? Doesn't that help a little bit? What do you guys think? I think that helps a little bit. We got this weird light thing going on because unfortunately I got to, and Lucy is already bored with the show. She wants to leave. Unfortunately, I got this on the LiveMe. The light's looking a little weird, but it's like really, I need it brighter for the YouTube. So the pain of having to go through 2 devices, and yes, at the moment I do have to go through 2 devices because this app, the LiveMe app, does not support an outside streaming service, meaning I can't stream from one device to different platforms. So over on the Reddit, somebody wanted to start with a story on net neutrality. So let's go there first. Net neutrality, first of all, this was submitted by Placone. I don't know if I'm saying the username right. So I'll give a quick plug. On Monday, January 29th, I am doing a net neutrality event in my community of Pasadena, California. I am showing up to City Hall. I am going to bring up municipal internet, see what we have to do to get municipal internet in our community. I'm encouraging as many people as possible to try to come to the event with me, come to City Hall with me, show up with me. And then afterwards to celebrate, because I'm sure they're going to say, great idea. We're going to strike tomorrow. We're going to start building municipal internet tomorrow. But no, it's to celebrate getting the conversation going. We're going to go over to one of my favorite bars in town, the Old Town Pub, and I'm going to strum a set of tunes. Going to be doing some covers, going to be doing a few originals. So you know what? I'm going to play an original for you guys right now to get ready for the event. I hope you enjoy it. This song is about myself. I have been 27 since the year 1933. Not a lot of people know that about me, and I'm going to tell you why. I've been 27 since 33. What the hell does society want from me? I've been 27 since 33. Age is just a myth to me. I've been 27 since 33. You can say I'm an old soul. I've been 27 since 33, and I still need rock and roll. Robbie went down to see the devil, said you wanna go down too. I said, Robbie, that seems a little bit heavy for me, but you do you. 3 drinks later, I was there by his side. He said, hey, Ron, we're gonna go for a ride. I said, look, Robbie, I just wanna make it through. 27 since 33. I've seen it all, but not all seen me. I've been 27 since 33. Someday I'll get that vasectomy. I've been 27 since 33. On my brain, it takes a toll. I've been 27 since 33, and I'm never growing old. Robbie said, hey, devil, I want to be the best that there'll ever be. The devil said, look, fool, I can do that for you, but you got to do something for me. You'll be the best there'll ever be, but at 27 you'll die. And your friend over there with the long red hair, he'll be the same age forever. He'll be the same age forever. He'll be the same age forever that he is tonight, 27 since 33. I've been 27 since 33. I've been 27 since 33. I've been 27 since 33. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. This is such a good song. Thank you, Chromatic Tree. I appreciate that very much. It's a fun song. I know, yeah, I hope you like it. I hope everybody liked it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much. So, now that you know what I'm doing about, now how much, excuse me, guys, how much would municipal internet cost? I don't know yet. I mean, at this point, it's tough to say. I mean, really, you got to strike the conversation in your community, and it's got to start there. It's certainly an attainable thing because the infrastructure is already there. We already have like the poles and stuff like that because the ISPs have already struck that ground. So the infrastructure is already there. It's just a matter of we're going to take back that infrastructure. You know, I mean, it's just a matter of doing that. It's a matter of taking back that infrastructure and claiming it to us. For anyone just tuning in, you are watching Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles and I respond to them and we talk about them. And that's how we get our news on. You're going to get your news on anyway. Why not get it on with a pal, right? So it wouldn't really cost much then, Dem Socialist says. I'm not saying it would necessarily be a cheap endeavor, but it's certainly not an unattainable endeavor for any given community. I mean, think about the places that already have it. Chattanooga, Sandy, Oregon. Let's see, Fort Collins, Colorado. What else? Longmont, Colorado. I mean, these are not places. I mean, these are nice places, but they're not. It's not like these places are the richest towns in the country or anything like that. You know, it's not like they're Aspen, Colorado, or, you know, a place that's known for having a lot of wealth. They're just, you know, pretty average places. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not an unattainable thing, I'd say. So let's see what this Ars Technica article has to say. Oh, Forever Voting Third Party mentioned the Burger King ad. Somebody tweet that to me so we can talk about it, because that was, I got to tip my hat to them. That was kind of funny. You guys know me. I'm not really one to ever give I don't like to give corporations credit ever, but you know, I'll tip my hat to Burger King. That was a pretty funny ad and pretty cool. They even have another one where they make fun of the Reese's cup mug that that Ajit Pai had. So kudos to them. I got to tip my hat. Somebody in the marketing department's doing some cool stuff, and they're convincing corporate that it's a good idea, and corporate is probably begrudgingly going along with it. I still can't eat that stuff. It makes me sick. I can't eat Burger King. But if I had to eat fast food and I could, I'd eat there now. That would be where I'd eat because of that. So, but I can't. It's actually true. If you like kick fast food for a little while, because like that's what I did. Like I just decided. Jesse says picking on Ajit Pai is like shooting fish in a barrel, but still fun. Agreed. Like if you give up fast food for a while for whatever reason, like you're just like I'm just not doing it. Like which is what I did because I was on the road full time. Like I was on the road like 45 weeks a year. By the way, small side note. Got a new tour date added. May 9th, Graham Elwood and I will be at the Tempe Improv. Mark your calendars. May 9th, Graham Elwood and I, we will be live at the Tempe Improv. Doing a stand-up show for the Progressive Comedy Tour. So if anybody's in the Arizona area, please do mark your calendars. We're also going to be doing a few more dates in the area. They should be confirmed soon. Them Socialists, I got my Sleep concert tickets today. I've been waiting like 10 years. That's a long time. Yeah, you mentioned that. I'm glad you got your tickets. And thank you for that because a couple days ago that inspired my rant about sleep. We all went on a nice rant about sleep that we had fun with. Man, speaking of which, man, I waking up today was tough. This is like the last weekday, you know? FCC Broadband Committee, we're at the article now. FCC Broadband Committee wants to redistrict publicly owned networks. Okay, so here's how they're trying to fight back. Ajit Pai is accused of tilting broadband community towards industry representatives. And here's that goofy picture of him drinking from that big Reese's peanut butter cup mug. Think of all the people that picked on Ajit Pai in high school that are regretting it now. I mean, think of all the people. I mean, he is such a smug, just irritable. There's nothing about him that is remotely likable. Nothing about Ajit Pai. Everything down to his willingness to do total evil, to his just smug demeanor, to his lowest common denominator bashing of pop culture and thinking it's a funny, edgy commercial. He's so lame. I guarantee you he'll be getting divorced soon. I promise you, he will be getting divorced soon. He's way worse than Bill Gates, Jesse. He's so much worse than Bill Gates. Bill Gates at least does some nice things. This guy's done no nice things. This guy's done nothing. Ajit Pai is the definition of smarmy. Yeah, I think in a picture dictionary, you look up the word smarmy and you just see a picture of his dumb face. You look up the word cool and you see a picture of like 25-year-old Mick Jagger. That's how it works. I'm pretty sure. A broadband deployment advisory group organized by the FCC is trying to make it harder for cities and towns to build and operate their own internet services. The Broadband Deployment Advisory Committee was set up by the FCC last year and is now releasing draft versions of its recommendations. One member, the mayor of San Jose, California, quit the group today out of frustrations that the recommendations favor the interest of private industry over municipalities. The problem became particularly apparent at our most recent meeting in D.C. All right, so here's the quote. One working group, which did not have a single municipal representative among its 30 participants, created a draft model state code that included provisions to eliminate all municipal control over when, how, and whether to accept industry applications for infrastructure deployment. Another working group had an industry representative dramatically rewrite its draft municipal code in the 11th hour, pushing aside the product of months of the working group's deliberations. The result in each case were provisions that plainly prioritize industry interests. It has become abundantly clear that despite the good intentions of several participants, And I would say that there are no good intentions. The industry-heavy makeup of the BDAC will simply relegate the body to being a vehicle for advancing the interests of the telecommunications industry over those of the public. The apparent goal is to create a set of rules that will provide industry with easy access to publicly funded infrastructure at taxpayer-subsidized rates without any obligation to provide broadband access to underserved residents. All right. So let's sum this up. The FCC Broadband Committee is trying to make it even harder for municipals to build their own internet. Why are they doing this? Because they're scared. Look at all the stuff that has happened as of recent. AT&T all of a sudden came out in favor of net neutrality. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, AT&T, hey, we favor net neutrality now. They don't actually favor net neutrality. What they want is they want Congress to write some rules that makes it still easy for them to price gouge as much as possible. Maybe not as much as they would have liked to, but as much as possible. So they want that to be the solution for all this because A, the public is flipping out. B, people are trying to build municipal internet. And C, states are making their own net neutrality laws. Montana just passed theirs. Montana was the first state. We did a story on that earlier this week. So this is another story indicating the FCC is flipping out and the ISPs are flipping out. And that's what's going on here. So much for we're down with states' rights. Oh, absolutely. When it comes to this, they want to have total power. And who is the FCC serving in this situation? They're serving the ISPs. They're not serving you or me. They're serving the internet service providers. They're serving Comcast. They're serving AT&T. They're serving Verizon. They're not serving you. Ron, how are you not verified on Twitter yet? That's a good question. I've been trying. I've tried a couple times. I've gotten turned down every time. I have not tried recently, in fairness. I've not tried recently, and I do have a Wikipedia page now. So maybe, just maybe, if I submit now, I'll have a better chance. Jesse, I can confirm he's not a robot. Joe says you and Jeff Waldorf should get verified. Yeah, totally. The Jimmy Dore Show is approaching 300,000 subscribers. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Dem Socialists. I appreciate that very much. So now the FCC is trying to make it even harder. They want to restrict. Oh, excuse me, not redistrict. I'm sorry. Wow, Friday morning moment, huh? Restrict. They want to restrict publicly owned networks. How did you grow your audience and do you make money online? What do? Okay, yeah. Why don't you email me if you want answers to those questions? What's your social security number and blood type? Yeah, that's not appropriate for a chat on an app. What's your life story? What are your goals? Do you get along with your parents? Oh, we're talking about net neutrality. I know that's a weird question. They want to restrict public owned. So they're trying to rewrite the laws to make sure that you can't have municipal internet. What do you do specifically? You're looking at it, buddy. This is what I do specifically. My mother's maiden name is Loelbo. It's a kind of cool name, huh? Yeah, Loelbo. So anyway, so they're trying to let little focus on underserved areas. So they're not focusing on underserved areas because, and why do they not focus on underserved areas? I just joined yesterday. Well, welcome, Imaginative Drum. Welcome to Live Me and streaming. I hope you are enjoying your time. No need for sarcasm. You know, it's what I do. Sorry. You know, if you're that easily rattled, maybe this isn't the stream for you. Ron, you're not supposed to answer the mother's maiden name question, but I did because it's a cool maiden name. You are American. Yes, I am. I am American. So I got that going. I got that going. We got a lot of space and no health care. Welcome to the USA. So anyway, someone did tweet the Burger King thing. So we got that going. All right, so let's finish up the net neutrality talk. What's your nickname, Ron? Ron is my nickname. I'm from Ukraine. Welcome, Ukraine. Good to see you. An imaginative drum. You know, we like to poke fun on this stream. We have fun with each other. It's all in good fun. So I invite you to participate and have a good time. And if you have any specific questions, feel free to email me. Ireland, what's up? What's up, Ireland? And ronplacone.com is the best way to email me. Is Ron your full name? My full name is Ronald. And I'm not going to tell you anything else. I'll never be as good as me father. His full name is Ron Weasley. No, it is not. But I was him for Halloween once. I was at a Harry Potter themed party, so my costume was very easy and very obvious. I just wore clothes that honestly I just owned that I would normally wear. I wore a tie and I shaved very closely that day. I really shaved, and I took off my glasses. So I was a very accurate Ron Weasley. However, I was blind. I don't have contacts. I need to get them. All right. So let's finish up here on net neutrality. Somebody sent the Burger King thing. So I'll go ahead and play it. And you guys will be able to hear it. Let's see here. Boom. Wait for it. All right.
These women are celebrities.
Oh, that's an ad. Hang on.
Men who sexually harassed
6,
them were
5,
fired.
4,
Senator
3,
isn't a
2,
celebrity.
1.
But Time
All right.
Magazine
Skip ad.
selected her as one of the
Okay.
2017.
There we go. So here's basically what happens. They explain net neutrality with the Whopper and what they do. So people are in line waiting.
How you doing? You know what number 98 was going on? Number 98, you got the Whopper? Yeah.
So everybody gets the Whopper, but they get the slow access Whopper. So they don't get their Whopper first. The people that paid for the high speed Whopper get theirs first. And the high speed Whopper costs $26. So that's how they explain net neutrality. The people that just paid like $6 for their Whopper, they don't get theirs. Like the Whopper's done, but they won't give it to them. They're like, well, is my Whopper ready? Yeah, it's ready, but we can't give it to you yet because we got to, this person bought the high-speed Whopper for $26, so they get theirs now. But you got to wait until we give it to you. So by the time you get your Whopper, it's going to be like gross. So yeah, that's how they explain net neutrality, which is kind of a cool and fun way to explain it. Obviously, it's even more complicated than that. It's not just fast lanes and slow lanes that we're risking with the loss of net neutrality. It's also the stifling of independent content creators. It's also the restrictions of certain websites without paying higher fees. It's not just fast lanes and slow lanes. It's restrictions altogether. Like you could get a certain package that doesn't include Twitter or Facebook or doesn't include Netflix or whatever, and you have to get a higher package to do that. So that's kind of what's going on here with net neutrality. But it's cool that Burger King, made an ad to try to explain it. Bravo. Here's the thing about fast food. Fast food, if you give it up for a while, like I did, when you go to eat it again, it will taste gross to you. Like you won't be able to like eat it. Let's see here. Kitty, you're kind of getting on my nerves. So let me go ahead and block you. So like you won't be able to eat it. Like you just can't, like I ate it once after like giving it up for a long time and it made me sick. Like it made me sick to my stomach. I couldn't like stomach it. And I felt like I just swallowed, I swallowed a wad of salt water. And it was really disgusting. Jesse says that soda has the same effect. I'm with you. All right. So that's what Burger King's got going on. Hello, Hayden. How are you? And guys, we have a bunch of articles. If you did not send an article yet over on the Twitter or on the Reddit, please do not do so because we have a ton of articles to get through and we are already midway through this show here. So let's yeah. All right. So man, we got a lot of articles. So bear with me while I start at the right place. And Sword, thank you for the likes and thank you for the follow. And the likes, STEM Socialist, thank you for the likes. Time goes by fast. I'm with you, Joe. We only did one story so far, pretty much. Let's see here. And you guys have sent me a bunch of stuff. All right, here we go. This is from Long Beach. And I know some of you guys sent a couple things. I'm going to do one from everybody that sent stuff to try to be fair here. Why we're underestimating an American collapse. The strange new pathologies of the world's first rich failed state. All right. This is from an outlet called Eudaimonia, which I'm not familiar with, but let's see what they have to say. This is the author here. You might say, having read some of my recent essays, Umar, don't worry, everything will be fine. It's not that bad. I would look at you politely and then say gently, to tell you the truth, I don't think we're taking collapse nearly seriously enough. Talking about American collapse. I tend to agree. Why? When we take a hard look at U.S. collapse, we see a number of social pathologies on the rise, not just any kind, not even troubling, worrying, and dangerous ones, but strange and bizarre ones, unique ones. Singular and gruesome, weird ones I've never really seen before, and outside of a dystopia written by Dickens and Orwell, nor have you, and neither has history. I don't know if I fully agree with that, because here's the thing. When you really sum it up, we have an economy of war. And there's other civilizations that had that too, like ancient Rome. An economy of war where everything was just built on conquest. That's what we have now. We have the modern day version of that. We have an economy of war. We have an economy that is built around exploiting resources, that's built around oil, and that's built around going to other places in the world and causing this disruption. That's how our economy is based. It's an economy of death. It's an economy of war. That's why we throw billions, even billions extra. Keep in mind, Democrats and Republicans gave Trump billions more than he wanted for the defense budget. They gave him even more. You could cut our military budget in half, and we are still dwarfing every other country in the world. Pretty much. Jesse points out, we're basically what we got mad at Britain for. Exactly. Now, what do all of the economies of war have in common? And hey, I'm no historian even. I mean, there's plenty of people that know this stuff way better than I do. I just recognize a war economy when I see it. You don't have to be a historian to see that. You don't have to be a scientist to see that. You don't have to be a mathematician to see that. You just have to be somebody that's paying attention a little bit. Like, that's all. War ends even with nothing else to replace it. Ron's no math history surgeon, Sake points out. Very true. I am not. So, yeah, what do all of those war economies, which is what I like to call them. People have different names for them. I like to call them war economies because that's a really unapologetic way of calling this bullshit what it is. It's a war economy. What do all of the war economies have in common? They all fall, and they fall hard. That's what's going to happen here. Hi, Caitlin. How are you? We've been at war 93% of the time since our inception as a nation, Dem Socialist points out. So this guy's right as far as, like, people aren't taking collapse that seriously because it's going to happen. My goal is that I just want it to, or not my goal, but my hope, I guess. Not my goal is not an accurate way to put it. My hope is that when it does happen, it's not like it's a peaceful fall. It's not like a violent fall. That's my biggest hope. And I think that's the biggest hope that we can all hope for, because we're going to be better off when we're all like, when we're just another country. You know what I mean by that? Like when we're just another country. We're just another, and we're just kind of worrying about our own, Bruce Springsteen put it best. We take care of our own. So let's go a little more into this article, and then we got to move on. America has had 11 school shootings in the last 23 days. That's one every day, more or less. There is also an opioid epidemic. Now you might say, well, poor people have always chased seasonal work, well, but that is not really the point. Absolute powerlessness and complete indignity is. In no other country I can see, do retirees who should have been able to save up enough to live on, now living in their cars in order to find work just to go on eating before they die. Yeah, and that's been going on for years, by the way. That's been going on for years and years and years. There have been people that retired that are now like they have to work to make ends meet because their retirement plans didn't work out, or they didn't, that happens all the time. How did America's elderly end up cheated of dignity? After all, even if desperately poor countries have informal social support systems, otherwise known as families and communities, but in America, there is the catastrophic collapse of social bonds. Extreme capitalism has blown apart American society. Okay. All right. Sorry we're getting some spamming here, but I'm trying to manage that. For anyone just tuning in, whether you're on the YouTube or the live me, you are watching Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means people tweet me articles at Ron Placone. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone, and we go through them together, and that's how we make the show. We're going to find out what's going on in the world together. Thank you so much. And Forever Voting 30 Party points out it's not a collapse, it's intentional. All right, so let's move on. You guys have tweeted me a lot of stuff, and I got to try to get through it as much as I can. Joe points out, as we grow, there will be more spammers. You are very right. That's just how it goes. So I guess a Hillary Clinton advisor is now being accused of sexual harassment. Uppity Bumpkin sends this. This is from The Cut, and this is from today, actually. So this is my first time hearing about this. Hillary Clinton reportedly chose not to fire advisor accused of repeated sexual harassment. A bombshell new report from the New York Times claims that Hillary Clinton protected an advisor on her 2008 campaign after he was accused of repeated sexual harassment. All right, well, let's go over to the New York Times piece, which is also from today. Hillary Clinton chose to shield a top advisor accused of harassment in 2008. A senior advisor to Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign who was accused of repeatedly sexually harassing a young subordinate was kept on the campaign at Mrs. Clinton's request, according to 4 people familiar with what took place. Mrs. Clinton's campaign manager at the time recommended that she fire the advisor, Bern Strider, but Mrs. Clinton did not. Instead, Mr. Strider was docked several weeks of pay in order to undergo counseling, and the young woman was moved to a new job. Mr. Strider, who was oh, God. You've got to be shitting me. All right, so this is my first time seeing this, so I'm reacting viscerally. Anybody that knows me knows I am not a fan of Hillary Clinton at all. So this was the guy's job. Anybody ready for this? You guys ready? Ready to know what this guy's job was? Ready? I'm going to keep reading. So this guy was sexually harassing a young subordinate. They moved her to a different job, and they didn't fire this guy. All right? Guess what his job was? You guys ready? Here we go. Here we go. This is what this guy's job was. No spoilers. Here we go. Mr. Strider, who was Mrs. Clinton's faith advisor. Faith advisor. A co-founder of the American Values Network, and sent the candidate scripture readings every morning for months during the campaign, was hired 5 years later to lead an independent group that supported her 2016 candidacy. Correct the Record, which was created by a close Clinton ally, David Brock. Correct the Record is a Twitter spamming group that basically harasses anybody that's critical of Hillary Clinton. They are literally a Twitter propaganda network. That's exactly what they are. Now, this guy was fired in 2016. He was fired after several months for workplace issues, including allegations that he harassed a young female aide. I guess he thought he got away with it the first time, he'd get away with it again. Unbelievable. How is she any different than the right wing? And that's a rhetorical, I mean, that's a fake question. She is, I mean, she is, this is stuff you hear about the Republicans doing. A faith advisor who sends you scripture. And what's the phrase? Those who silent sinners scream the loudest. This guy founds a values network. He's the faith-based guy. He's correcting misinformation on Twitter, and he's sexually harassing his coworkers. And who gets punished? The coworkers do. Maybe that woman liked where she was and didn't want a new job, but now they forced her into one. Unbelievable. You want me to talk about something? Tweet me an article about it. It's at Ron Placone on Twitter. Man. This is so terrible. But not surprising at all. Like this is just not surprising at all. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I guess we'll see how this unfolds. I mean, right now this is still just one article in the New York Times. So, you know, I don't really know all the details about it as of right now. This is my first time seeing anything about it. Thank you for tweeting it to me. He was the faith advisor. Why does any politician need a faith advisor? Why does anybody need that? Like, really, why do we need that? I feel like if you need a faith advisor, you shouldn't be running for office. If you need somebody on a daily basis to tell you what faith you should be subscribing to, how you should be subscribing to it, and giving you verses from a bizarre, archaic fiction novel called the Bible, you shouldn't be running for anything. You should be running for nothing. Because clearly, if an article of her makes it to the New York Times, of all places, it's probably worse. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, this isn't from like The Onion, shockingly enough. Like, this totally isn't from The Onion. This is from because some of us need accountability in our faith as in other things. Well, Robbie, I think that's really sad. I think that's really sad if you need a person to tell you what to do about your faith on a daily basis. If you have religious beliefs or whatever, that's fine. That's your right. All power to you. But you really need somebody on a daily basis to advise you on it. It's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. Just try to be a good person. Why do you need a faith advisor? To be honest, I didn't really know that was like a designated position for like a candidate. But that's like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. The fact that somebody draws a salary. Oh, and look at what this guy was doing. He was sexually harassing other people. That's what he was doing. He was sexually harassing people. Well, he made a values network. Well, he is correct. The Record is still on Twitter, by the way. Twitter claims they're cracking down on quote-unquote spam accounts, on quote-unquote propaganda accounts. Meanwhile, Correct the Record is an open propaganda account. That's exactly what they are. Anybody critical of Hillary Clinton, they just go and harass people. That's what they do. And they're open about that. That's what they do. They are vocal about, this is what we do, this is what we're for. All right, let's move on. Yet another person Clinton kept on the payroll who never should have been. Yeah, I mean, she could not have picked a worse group of people to surround herself with for that campaign. Yeah, Jesse brings up Verrett. I mean, Peter Dow, a 3-time loser, a professional loser. That is the only thing that man has accomplished in his life. He is a professional loser, and he's made really shitty limousine liberals, new age jazz albums that hopefully no more than 10 people ever listen to. Unbelievable. This is from Edward. Scott's office wraps Broward's unacceptable ballot destruction in the Wasserman-Schultz race. This is down in Miami. Thank you very much, Allie. That's very nice of you to say. Governor Rick Scott's office wrapped Broward County's election supervisor for giving an insufficient response to an official inquiry concerning her apparently unacceptable decision to destroy a congressional race's paper ballots that were the subject of litigation. The ballots in questions were cast in the 2016 South Florida Democratic primary between Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz and challenger Tim Canova, who later asked to inspect the paper trail because he was concerned about election integrity. Canova finally filed suit against the Broward County's election supervisor, Brenda Snipes, when he felt his public request to inspect a select number of ballots was not being honored in a timely fashion. Regardless of the electronic copies, now get this, the destruction of the paper ballots themselves is not legal, election law experts say, citing a federal law that says election records are supposed to be preserved for 22 months after a federal election. Under state law, a public record that's the subject of litigation isn't supposed to be destroyed without a judge's order. Snipes' attorney, Bernadette Norris Weeks, told Politico that the ballot destruction was legal because they were maintained in an electronic format. But Ken Detzner, the Florida Secretary of State appointed by Scott, said in a December 20th letter to Snipes that he was following the Canova case with particular interest and concern and requested she provide by January 3rd an explanation of the procedures, events, legal basis, and reasoning for their disposition in the manner taken. Yeah, electronic records, voting records, I mean, they can be hacked so easily. We hear about this all the time. People talk about this all the time. Like how easy electronic voting records can be hacked. That's why we need the paper trail. So they're like, oh, well, they were backed up electronically, so we were able to destroy them. Well, that's the whole reason we have them in the first place today is because of how easy it is for them to hack this stuff. So that's a bullshit excuse. You guys catch that. Like, that's a nonsensical excuse. Like, it's like, oh, well, we have electronic copies, so we don't need the paper copies. No, we need the paper copies because that stuff's not totally safe. Paper copies, if we have them, if we can touch them, if we can, hey, here we go. Right? All right. 9 days later, however, Snipes said in a reply letter she wanted a 60-day extension deadline because this issue is now in a full litigation process. Jesse points out, it only matters if we think Russia did it. Right, exactly. Exactly. We don't care. We don't care about election fraud when it's just the powers that be doing it or the DNC doing it. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a payday loan shark. That's the type of moral integrity she has. She has made a fortune working for deceptive loan practices. And she calls herself a, quote, Democrat. She claims she's for single. She has outwardly lied to people constantly, saying she's for single payer. She's not. I mean, it's unbelievable. And Tim Canova, by the way, and I'll put all my cards on the table. I like Tim Canova. I'm a supporter of Tim Canova. I've met him a couple times, and I really hope he primaries her out. He would be such a better thing for that state and for this country than Debbie Wasserman Schultz. He's challenging her. He challenged her before, and he lost. But you know, there's some suspicion that the ballots weren't totally counted properly, and there was some ballot destruction going on. That's what we're talking about here. And he came close. And you know what? I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz is grossly unpopular. Tim Canova is rising in popularity by the day. He does have a shot. Joe says Tim Canova is awesome. I really hope he wins. I do too, Joe. I do too. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I got to say, I really hope. So I guess we'll see what happens. But now Governor Rick Scott. I do not like Governor Rick Scott. I'm not a fan. But the fact that he's being vocal about this is not a bad thing. Even though he's probably just doing it as a political move, it's still not a bad thing. And if it shines some light on Debbie Wasserman Schultz, that increases her chances of getting primaried out by Tim Canova, that's a good thing. So we'll see how all this unfolds. All right, guys, we are almost out of time, and I have not gotten to a lot of the stuff you guys sent in. So let's try to get to... This is from Jesse. So I heard something about this, but I've not looked into this. As a Floridian, I hate him, but he does get the job done. You're talking about Rick Scott, I take it. I didn't know you were a Floridian, Jesse. That's cool. All right, so this is from Jesse. This is from popularresistance.org. I've been hearing a little bit about Telesaur and what they've allegedly been going through. This is my first time actually seeing an article about it. Telesaur English's day in Facebook quote-unquote jail raises doubts about Silicon Valley hospitality. Okay. Facebook periodically tweaks its algorithm in ways that severely reduce the prominence of alternative media content on news feeds. That is true, forcing admins to pay for sponsored posts in order to reach audience. Yeah, that's true. And you know, honestly, though, that does go beyond alternative media. Facebook just wants people to pay to boost their posts. So this is over in Quito, Ecuador. Facebook users who followed the Latin American news outlet Telesaur English were confused on Tuesday when the fan page suffered a mysterious disappearance from the site that lasted nearly a full day. The page's deletion and subsequent reemergence raised questions about potential censorship by the California-based social networking giant, which has previously acted at the behest of repressive governments and faces pressures from U.S. officials and traditional media to crack down on so-called fake news. What's up, Marcus? Good to see you. The page has a modest presence on Facebook, about 400,000 followers, as well as millions of social media interactions such as comments, likes, shares, and views. The page also hosts tens, if not hundreds, of hours of originally produced video content, including original programs, documentaries, and tightly edited one-minute clips. Sources in Telesaur English's newsroom seemed blindsided by the page's removal, which appeared to take place at approximately 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Facebook has taken down the page of Telesaur English, the organization I work for. We were not given notice, nor were we informed as to why this happened. At about 10 a.m. the next morning, however, the page suddenly reappeared. A status update was posted thanking followers for the concern. Still don't know what exactly happened, and we are looking into it. A Facebook company spokesman apologized, this was to Newsweek, and claimed the page was temporarily unavailable due to an internal mistake. What could that internal mistake have been, and how did it happen? I have a lot of colleagues in independent media that have been complaining they're getting way less views on Facebook. They're getting way less prominence on Facebook. And the question we need to ask ourselves, do we want Silicon Valley determining what is and isn't free speech? And, you know, I get it. People can just share anything on Facebook, and there's a lot of, propaganda out there. There's a lot of fake news out there. But allowing Facebook that oversight and that overreach could lead to stuff like stifling voices that aren't fake news, that aren't propaganda, but maybe just aren't parroting the narrative that the corporatocracy wants to be parroted. I'm talking about organizations like Telesaur English. I'm talking about organizations like RT and RT America. Even places like Democracy Now! Even places like the Jimmy Dore Show. Jesse points out there's a solution to that problem, teaching research. Yes. I think media literacy needs, and this is kind of like a related parallel, but media literacy should be taught in high schools. It should totally be taught in high schools and in college. Now more than ever before, we need media literacy courses. A way to question your sources, a way to analyze the piece of news you are looking at. Murphy sent you a super chat on YouTube, by the way. Murphy, thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. As of right now, I need a chat moderator because I can't see both chats at the same time, unfortunately. Well, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can just go to it. Forever Voting Third Party points out it was called Civics. Yeah, they don't do that as much anymore. They really do not. They don't do that as much anymore, and that is a problem. I'm totally with you. So let me see if I can go to like my own thing and just sort of okay, here we go. All right, guys. So I'm trying to see. Big fan of you and Jimmy. Keep it up. Loving it. Murphy, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. I'm over here on the YouTube right now. It's going to be really hard for me to like look at both chats, but I will do the best I can. I promise. I will do the absolute best I can. And Joe, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Murphy also points out, bring back civics and critical thinking classes. Amen. A freaking men. But I think why you don't even have to have, I think it should be straight up media literacy, just because why not, like Lucy, Jesse points out Lucy can moderate the YouTube chat. My roommate Pasta is looking at the YouTube chat too. And I need to figure out how to make actual moderators. Guys, this show is still very new. We are still learning as we go. And we are pretty much out of time. Let's do so yeah, I mean, this is one of those things. The solution is people need to police. People need to be critical thinkers. People need to, the idea of Silicon Valley determining what is free speech, that is a slippery slope. That's a big slippery slope, especially since they have their own special interest. All right, we're going to do one more article. This is from Jess. Scott Walker. You know what? I used to have a song about Scott Walker. And let me see if I remember it. Here we go. I haven't played this in a long time. Scott Walker, he's pretty neat. He likes you if you're the corporate elite. Hey, Scott Walker, he'll save the day. He wants the unions to all go away. He's Scott Walker, Scott Walker. He's Scott Walker, Scott Walker. She's Scott Walker. That was my memory. I forgot the words. But yeah, I go, Scott Walker, he's pretty neat. He likes you if you're the corporate elite. Scott Walker, he'll save the day. He wants the unions to all go away. Scott Walker. Thank you. Scott Walker is literally preventing Wisconsinites from voting. The Republican governor is refusing to call special elections to fill vacant legislative seats as his allies attack nonpartisan oversights of elections. Why? Because recently in Wisconsin, a deep red district turned blue. And a Democrat, by the way, a Democrat who actually ran on policy ideas. I'm not familiar, with how sincere the candidate is or isn't on those ideas, but nonetheless, at least ran on ideas, beat the Republican in a deep, deep, deep red district. Why? Because people are thirsty for actual solutions and not just, hey, we're not as bad as the Republicans. And they'll listen when you have the right messaging. That's why you see people like Sam Ronan who are running as a progressive Republican, and I have a feeling the guy's going to do some good. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker and his Republican allies have never been enthusiastic about democracy. Absolutely not. The nation is right here. After grabbing power in the Republican wave of 2010 with a massive boost from the Koch brothers, they redrew the legislative district lines to prevent competitive elections, enacted multiple measures that made it harder for Wisconsinites to vote, and dismantled the state government accountability board that used to provide nonpartisan oversight of elections. But it turns out Walker and his cronies were just getting started on a project that in recent weeks has seen embattled Wisconsin Republicans upend new commissions that were supposed to promote fair elections and responsible governance. while the governor has refused to call elections to fill legislative vacancies. As the one-time Republican star who crashed and burned as a contender for the party's 2016 presidential nomination, oh, that's right, he was. I forgot that he did that. My English teacher in high school did a whole unit on media literacy. Joe points that out. That's freaking awesome. Joe's a young guy, so he was in high school relatively recently. That's very cool. I think it should be a straight-up course, but that's awesome. They're at least doing sections on it. And in today's age, it is needed. It is needed. And that's the solution. The solution is education, not letting Silicon billionaires determine what is and isn't free speech. So after Walker's Republicans effectively voted to oust ethics commission's administrators and began talking about reclassifying positions, Wisconsin has a long-standing tradition as a leader in nonpartisan election administration, but now they're trying to get rid of that. So in doing all this, he's rejecting the clear intent of Wisconsin statutes, which declare any vacancy in the office of state senator or representative to the assembly occurring before the second Tuesday in May in the year in which a regular election is held to fill that seat shall be filled as promptly as possible by special election. So basically, he's trying to hold out till the regular election season. You're not supposed to do that because it happened before May. They should hold a special election to put it to fill it immediately. He doesn't want to do that. Why? Because there's been a progressive wave, and he's scared of it. Thank you for pointing this out, Jess. This is proof. This is proof that people are very hungry for a revolution. And that's what I want to end with today. Guys, we are totally out of time. Thank you guys so much for submitting your articles. There's a ton of articles I did not get to today, and I apologize for that. But we are completely out of time. It is Friday. For anybody that this was your first time, we're seeing a lot of folks on the live me today. For anyone that this was your first time, you are watching Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles at Ron Placone. That's my Twitter, at Ron Placone. And that's how we build the show. I do not see any of these articles in advance. A lot of these stories I'm hearing about for the first time, so I react to them the way anybody reading them for the first time would react to them. Sometimes I'm just like, what the hell? You've got to be kidding me. Other times it spins off into a goofy rant. Other times I get angry. Other times it gets funny. All the above, and we experience the news together. If you want to support this show, please do so on Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Placone. For as low as $1 a month, you can make sure this show stays on the air. You also get other perks like an exclusive podcast once a week, exclusive videos that aren't available to the public, free tickets to any of my shows. I've been announcing more tour dates by the day. May 9th, Graham Elwood and I are going to be at the Tempe Improv together. I'm also going to be doing some house shows. I'm going to be in San Antonio, Texas on June 15th. I'm going to be in Galena, Illinois on July 21st. Should have some more Midwest dates around there. And if you're a patron, tickets to any of those shows are completely free. You get to go to any of my shows for free if you are a patron. So again, that's patreon.com/Ron Placone. Also, when my album's done later this year, you're going to get that delivered to your inbox. When my book's done in 2019, you're going to get that delivered to your inbox. That's all for any patron at any level you give at. Whether you give $1 or more, you get all that. So please, patreon.com/Ron Placone. Help keep this show on the air and help me advance the technology here. People want me to put a monitor, have a monitor behind me so you can see what I'm looking at on the computer. I'd love to do that. But that, I need to invest in some new technology. I'm really close to my first goal, you guys. My first goal is t-shirts. I'm really close to it. So if you are able, please, patreon.com/Ron Placone. Marcus says, I'm still waiting for you guys to come to Brooklyn. The Jimmy Dore Show will definitely be in New York this year. Don't have any details yet. We're still working on it, but we will be in New York this year. Awesome show, Ron. Hope you have a good weekend. I hope everyone else has a good weekend as well. As it is Friday, I want to send you guys off with the Revolution song because it is time.
Doing the same thing, expecting differences. It's what it means to be insane. Having to choose between more and more. It's not what it means to play the game. Why does it put your mind at ease to ignore this big disease? Why do you like to sit and pretend when you always know the end? Your television goes listen to what we say. It's time for revolution. The undetected rhetoric, what it means to compromise. Some call it straight-man rhetoric, I just call it telling lies. It's when you reach a point of crisis, the status quo, it needs to change. And if you can't understand that truth, well, it's time to get out of the way. Go tell the BBC, go tell the CIA. It's time for revolution. Go tell the DSA, GP and SA. It's time for revolution. A wise man said that love's the answer. This fool knows that to be true. 'Cause I'm not ready to give up yet. Long as there's still a B in you. So I'll tell the BBC, I'll tell the CIA. It's time for revolution. I'll tell the DSA, GP and SA. It's time for revolution. So get your news on, Ron. Just wanna know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Get your news on, Ron. Just wanna know what's going on. Let's hope they don't start World War III. You can tweet me an article at Placone. We'll go through it together. We'll make it our own. Get your news on, Ron. Just wanna know what's going on. Get our news on today. Yeah, 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 yeah. This has been Get Your News On with Ron. Thank you guys so much. We are the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone, RonPlacone.com. Find out when I'm coming to a city near you. January 29th, I'll be at the Old Town Hall in Pasadena. Come with me to City Hall and then enjoy some fun tunes after. Need a little bit of water. I love you all very much. Have a nice weekend. I will be back on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We do this every Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tune in, tune often. Be safe. Have a good weekend. I love you all very much. See you next time.